All right, we were talking beforehand. You said how many hundreds of thousands of dollars in how many cases?
Yeah, so all in, I spent probably around $350,000 for what I went through on January 6th. And the reason why is because I wasn't just criminally charged. I was also civilly sued, and I was also subpoenaed by the January 6th committee.
For what?
Right. Well, so the civil case was that was a real humdinger because basically a nonprofit law firm out of D.C. called Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. They have a long history of basically using lawfare against conservatives.
Weird.
So So they sued me and a couple dozen other high-profile conservatives like Roger Stone and Donald Trump. They went out and found 8 Capitol police officers who are black, and they used them as the plaintiffs in the case and sued me and all these other people under the KKK Act, alleging that we're white supremacists who went to the Capitol to harm black police officers. None of these officers were even on the same side of the building I was on January 6th. I was ultimately dismissed from the case.
Oh, the KKK Act?
The KKK Act, yeah. Yeah, we're still using these things. It's still happening.
Okay, so they sue you civilly. You get out of the civil case.
That's right.
And you get out of the...
I get out of the civil case, but not until after I'd spent over $200,000. That was the most expensive one.
That's the conviction.
Yeah, and that went on for 2.5 years. It cost me over $200,000 to get dismissed from the case.
So this guy who recently, he basically said, "Hey, wait a minute, I was pardoned, but I was fined $2,200 for restitution in this case. It's been wiped off my record as if it never happened, so I want my money back." And he choked his money out of these people. Are you going after him for anything?
Well, if I do, it's going to be for a lot more than the fines and fees that I received. Now, in my case, which was absurd, so just so anyone who doesn't know, I never entered the Capitol on January 6th. I didn't engage in any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction. I didn't even witness any. But I shot a video outside of the building. I was outside for 8 minutes, uploaded it to Twitter. FBI raids my house, takes me to jail, charges me with numerous felony charges, which basically ended up securing their plea deal in my case. But I ended up getting my judge, who I don't mind naming right now, Judge Dabney Friedrich, total lunatic in Washington, D.C. The DOJ wasn't even seeking a fine in my case, but she said, Mr. Straka is a person who of substantial means and he needs to be taught a lesson. So I'm giving the maximum fine. So she gave me a fine of $5,000 plus a $500 restitution payment to the Capitol, even though it was acknowledged I engaged in no violence, no activity. So anyway, I'm going to be seeking a lot more than $5,500 from the government that did this to me. I think that every January 6th defendant needs to be properly compensated for what they went through.
What do you think about the pardons for the J6 committee that may or may not even be real?
Well, let's find out if they're real or not. I mean, I think that the people who perpetrated this hoax on the American people need to be brought to justice. And look, if the pardons are real and they are substantial, I don't think it protects them from a congressional inquiry. They should at least be brought in and made to answer questions.
Well, they can't plead the Fifth if they are real.
Well, and they also can't produce documents because they destroyed all of them.
Yeah, so, weird. It was they had you guys so dead to rights that they had to destroy all the evidence.
Right.
Ashli Babbitt, though, we followed this. She's going to get full proper military honors, which I think actually is a real thing because nothing happened to the guy who shot her. She was not a violent person.
Right.
And she's actually, much to the left's chagrin, the only person who was killed that day.
Yeah. Well, she's certainly other people died that day, and I think as a
killed though.
Yes, you're right. And none of them were police officers, just to be clear. But I think the most egregious thing about the Ashli Babbitt case is that she didn't even receive a warning. I think that a lot of people say, well, she shouldn't have been there and she was in the wrong place and she had no right to this. That's fine if people want to feel that way. But we don't point a gun at people and shoot them point blank without at least saying, back up, step back, whatever. And no such
like we
thing
did for Michael Brown.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, the statute of limitations on the crime, I think, that was perpetrated against her never expires. So I hope that there is a point where that police officer at least has to answer for what he did.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.